Welcome everybody. Today I'm going to be doing a 20-minute monologue for the Cry Freedom Show with Lisa.com, and she's asked me to do a 20-minute monologue. I'm just in the park at the moment, and I wanted to do it in the park again because basically it was very interesting last time doing the monologue, because nature was really giving us some feedback, let's say. I didn't notice it at the time, but when Lisa listened to the recording, as I was talking about certain subjects and certain words, car horns were going off, birds were singing, I think the wind was going a bit strong, just sounds and noises to make it really obvious, So it was very, very interesting, to say the least. So I'm going to do it again and see what happens. But I'm out in nature. It was very, very windy earlier. I wasn't going to do it today because it was that bad. But it seems to have died down, which is very, very good. Very, very good indeed. Lisa wanted me to do the podcast today, basically on hemp and cannabis. So I'm going to be talking about that today, and certainly talking about the difference of the two, because there's been confusion, and it's deliberately done. Now I say deliberately done, it's all to do with understanding human consciousness and why that there has been confusion, and why we haven't got certain things made out of hemp which would actually change the world. But it's there because the Creator wants us to raise our consciousness and change the existing conditions that's within society, so we can have these things, so we can have free energy, Tesla technology and hemp everywhere, because it would change the world. It's to do with the existing condition in society. It's human consciousness, why it's been so demonized, these things, and we have to change the existing condition. We have to raise our consciousness to allow these things to be unfolded in life, because life is an unfolding story and nature is an unfolding story. So I'll go into a little bit of that today. It's just really important to clear it up and understand what we're talking about and break things up. This is what I like to do, is get a subject and break things apart and put the component here, put the component here, and put the component here, and see where it all fits together. Makes sense. So let's clarify a few things. So cannabis is a genus of flowering plants that are in the family Cannabiceae. I love that word, Cannabiceae. And a genus is it's like a class of similar things. It's like a group of animals or plants that includes several closely related species. So we've got 3 of those closely related species of cannabis. It's sativa, indica and ruderalis. So sativa is one major type, a variant of the cannabis plant. It's a strain, and same with the indica. And also marijuana, with other names that people use, it's another word for cannabis. The marijuana plant comes from both the indica and the sativa strain, and the hemp plant belongs solely to the sativa family strain. So hemp and marijuana are varieties of the same species, which is the sativa. But hemp and marijuana are often used interchangeably, so they are sister plants, and there's been a confusion with this. You have to really dig deep to find what it actually is, what the difference is. There's still, propaganda out there. But when we understand it, it's a very valuable lesson. So the problem is that hemp has been lumbered in as the same plant as cannabis. So they are 2 different plants, 2 different types of plants that come from the same species or the same strain, but their uses are totally different. Let's break down the certain things that are in these plants. So both plants have what we call cannabinoids. They are a group of compounds, and two major compounds is THC and CBD. Those are the two major cannabinoids. So THC is tetrahydrocannabinol and CBD is the cannabidiol. They are the two main compounds that are found in hemp and cannabis. And then you have what is called the full spectrum, which is extracted and using all the compounds in the plant for what is known as the entourage effect. You've got to use all the compounds synergistically. There's a reason that they're all there, because it's the chemical process. One of the main differences between hemp and marijuana is the psychoactive component of THC levels. This is very important to understand. So CBD is the non-psychoactive component, okay, and marijuana has more THC and lower CBD, and hemp has lower THC and higher CBD. So each strain has female and male plants, and the male cannabis plants do not yield buds, whereas the female cannabis plants do. So the THC is actually found in the leaves and the flowers, mostly in the female plant, and it's much less in the male plant. And so THC and CBD, they come from what we call the resin on the leaves and the buds as well. But the resin is like a protective secretion. This is the sticky substances where the compounds come from the female plants. There's a lot of chemical processes going on in here, the more that even I need to learn, but you have to really study it, and it's a massive vast subject. Like I said before, when you study these things, it's a whole universe, it's infinite. You're always going to keep learning because we're the creator. And so hemp contains very little THC, usually less than 0.3%, and cannabis plants with THC concentrations are greater than 0.3%. But as my friend has said to me before, he can smoke an acre of hemp and it will never get you high. So it should never be lumbered in that category. That's the marijuana. And then there was the Controlled Substances Act of 1970 that replaced the Marijuana Tax Act, which made all cannabis, including hemp, a Schedule I controlled substance that could not be grown without a permit. And the people who are regulating that are the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration. So in 2018, the US Congress passed and signed into law, so-called law, the Agriculture Improvement Act. This so-called law removed hemp from the Federal Controlled Substance Act of 1970s, eventually legalising CBD if it comes from hemp. And it shouldn't, as I said, it should never have been lumbered in that category, but people, it is our responsibility to check these things and learn these things, because the Creator is pushing us to learn, and then we can say, well, why haven't we got this? And when we start doing that, our consciousness is expanding. This is what happens when you trust the experts. That is inverted commas, by the way, experts, and it's because society didn't know the difference. And when we look into hemp, it is an amazing God plant. It's two different plants, and it can change the world. Some of the few things that hemp can do for us is housing, to make homes, to make paper, fuel, nutrition, textiles, food and oil. And of course we are using these things, but we've never needed plastic. For example, we've never needed it. All it does is just cause so much destruction and pollution. But it's the world's premier renewable source. We wouldn't need to drill for oil, chop so many trees down, pollute the world. And as I said, we've never needed to make plastic, but having said all that, Mr. Corporation would not be very happy. We've got to look into these things a bit more. But we were meant to have these things. I mean, we have an endocannabinoid system. We were born to take these plants into our bodies. We have what we call CB receptors, and we have CB1 receptors within our brain, within our central nervous system, and we have the CB2, which is within our immune system, so we can have an immune system response when the body is out of whack, which will help us to go back to homeostasis, which is really bringing the body back into alignment, in balance. And I'll always say it goes hand in hand with having a clean diet, lots of organic fruit and vegetables. If you're going to have cooked foods, if you can grow them yourself and make things from scratch. And along that is fasting. I'm always going to say fasting. This would help the body. So the whole diet thing is a mental, emotional, physical and spiritual aspect of ourselves. So we were born to have this God plant. We were born to have it. And instead of always say they, but they're not really they. It is the Creator awakening us up from within. And the illusionists of the world, I should use the word illusionists, who basically blame us for anthropogenic global warming, which is a hoax. It's a test, isn't it? So so-called they, all the practices that enhances their so-called problem. So we've never needed fossil fuels. We've never needed it, and we've knocked far too many trees down. So they should be banning these practices instead of banning the actual stuff, the actual things that we really need to help the earth and to help us, especially health-wise. Also, planting hemp everywhere would be the solution, because it's carbon neutral. It will take the CO2 from the air and put it into the plant and into the soil. We have to remember that there is only one known annually renewable natural resource that is really capable of providing the overall majority of the world's paper, textiles, transportation, at-home energy needs, and at the same time it's going to be reducing the pollution. It's going to be rebuilding the soil. It fixes the soil and cleaning the atmosphere. So it's a no-brainer, isn't it? But we have to educate ourselves into these things. The creators put all these obstacles and solutions here for us to learn, but we have to initiate ourselves on this path of truth to find these solutions. And it's been done for centuries anyway. We've been using this plant for centuries. And the book that I recommend, there are many books out regarding cannabis and regarding hemp. The book that I recommend as a starting point would be The Emperor Wears No Clothes, which is written by Jack Herer. And he offered anyone in the world, he was challenging the world basically for £100,000 to debunk or prove that all the facts that he explained in the book, to prove him wrong. And nobody could. I don't even think anybody even tried, because you can't, because it's already been in use for so long. It's already been proven. Otherwise it would be cognitive dissonance, that old classic. But overall it is, the strongest, the most durable, longest lasting natural soft fibre, and it can actually be grown in any conditions, any climate conditions, any soil condition, because it will just correct it. And every part of this plant can be used. It was actually used for over 3,000 years by many different cultures. Some say it was actually used for 12,000 years, because it was the turn of the century that this information actually got forgotten about, because of obviously the Rockefellers have come in and they created their own medical system, which we don't need to go into, because I'm all about the solutions. I'm all about putting the solutions within our consciousness. This plant, every aspect of it can be used, and it has absolute zero waste. And some facts about hemp: 1 acre of hemp can produce 33 gallons of oil, 3 tons of protein, 30 tons of fibre. It really is magnificent, and it's called the God plant for a reason. And hemp is biodegradable, it's compostable, it's non-toxic, and one bottle will biodegrade in 80 days as opposed to 1,000 years for a plastic bottle. So in some sense, you know, we have to take responsibility for ourselves, because we've allowed this to happen, because we have remained, not people like me or Lisa, but just I'm talking about society in general. And we all would have been at some point in our life, so we have been. People in the truth and freedom movement, you know, they're very active with this subject as well, which is great, but we've all been placid, we've all followed, haven't we, at some point in our lives. So it's not a blame game, but you know, once we educate ourselves and we can put this in our human consciousness, we can really bring it into our lives, because it is a wonder plant. When we can envision hemp everywhere, it will happen. We have to put this in our human consciousness, because as I said before, we have to change the existing condition that put us here in the first place, where nature can pave the way for free technology, Tesla technology, and realise and accept the responsibility that we put those obstacles in the way first, because we went against natural law. We stopped understanding consciousness, and we have broken every rule in the book, and these things will be taken away, but they can come back. I'm envisioning the solutions of imagining hemp everywhere, healing the world, healing us, keeping us healthy, keeping the earth healthy. So I'd like to end the monologue with a lovely quote from Jack Herer. Now, it is a lovely quote, and it is one of the famous quotes that he's remembered by. However, it is an external solution. So his quote was amazing. I will say it was amazing. He said, "I don't know if hemp can save the world, but it's the only thing that can." And it is truly beautiful, and he's right on some level. However, I like to change that, because I'm going to do another monologue on this, on hemp. I want to go into greater detail of the benefits of it and how it was used and how it can be used. But I like to change the quote to, "I don't know if natural law and human consciousness can save the earth, but it's the only thing that can." Thanks, folks. I'll catch you on the next one.
Tell y'all a little bit about a plant I know that can save the world. It grows long and tall and has flowers that can make your mind swirl. It's a funky plant with a fiber that is resistant to rain and mold. It's the strongest plant fiber known to man, the best rope you'll ever hold. Well, the pioneers covered up the wagon trains with a canvas made of hemp, and Washington and Jefferson grew it on their farms and said to make the most of it. First stars and stripes were sewn on hemp, first Constitution too. It's used around the world for food, fiber, oil, medicine, and fuel. But if we press its seeds, we won't have no need for any other oil. We can make paints and inks, run our car, we'll grow back next season. It'll fix the soil, the most nutritious seed we can put in our mouth with omega-6 and 3. We can feed the world with the tree of life and live sustainably. But if we cut down all the trees, we won't have nowhere to breathe. Grow fields of hemp instead. We can make our paper, build a house from it. It's the goddess plant grown wild and free, living the way that we ought to be. Gonna leave my children a better world than my ancestors left me. Whoa, whoa. La, 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 la. Flowers, the female hemp plant, make the best medicines on earth. Helps cancer and AIDS patients eat their food. Helps those with depression overcome the blues. Glaucoma, epilepsy, nausea, insomnia, stress, neurosis, psychosis, pain, PMS. All the studies have been done and all the doctors agree that they can't make money off this plant, you see, because it's free. It grows from a seed, wild and free, like we ought to be. vision of the future is growing out our own backyards. But if we cut down all the trees, we won't have nowhere to breathe. Grow fields of hemp instead. We can make our paper, build a house from it. It's a God's plan, going wild and free, living the way that we ought to be. Gonna leave my children a better world than my ancestors left me. La 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 la. This modern day and age, when we seem to lack spirituality, this one single plant can bring us back almost 10,000 years in history. To the Shiva, Puranas, the Jesus, the Christ, to the Buddha, the pagans, the goddess, the light, to commune with all the animals, commune with all the trees, to realize the goddess see, 'cause inside me is the earth is a mother. We gotta take care of the earth. The earth is the mother that gives life birth, and we can heal our relations with a single green plant. We can start right now, but if we cut down all the trees, we won't have nowhere to breathe. Grow fields of hemp instead. We can make our paper, build a house from it. It's the God's plan, growing wild and free, living the way that we ought to be. Gonna leave my children a better world than my ancestors left me.